Hey, welcome back to the Blade Lab. Today I want to talk about setting the angle for Tormek knife sharpening. A lot of people, when they first get their Tormek, maybe you've seen some videos, maybe you've looked at the manual, will be using this here, which is the WM200 angle setter. I do not recommend this for knife sharpening. It's a terrific thing for setting angles for planer blades or chisels or other type of woodworking equipment, but it's just not ideal for setting knife angles, and for a couple of reasons. One of them is that it doesn't account for the angle of the primary grind of the knife. Hold on one second. So I have this Henkel's chef's knife already clamped here. So the primary grind, people use different terminology, but basically every knife, full flat grind knife. In other words, it's all primary bevel. It has a primary bevel angle. So for most kitchen knives, it's going to be anywhere between 1 and 2 degrees. For pocket knives, it can be anywhere between 3 and 7 degrees. And so with the WM200, what you're basically doing is you're measuring on the stone and on the primary grind of the blade. So it's not accounting for that angle, the additional angle that you're getting from the primary grind. So in other words, I happen to know, because I measured it, that this knife has primary grind angle is just about 1.5 degrees. So if I set the angle using the WM200 on this knife, set it to 15, what I'm actually going to get is an angle of 16.5 degrees, because again, it's counting on you're measuring the bevel on a flat blade or surface. So anyway, so that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is that it's just kind of fiddly to use. You have to sort of get down on the side. It's not, even if you can set it correctly, it's just not super accurate. It's maybe within a degree or two, and maybe that's all you want. But if there's a better way to do it, more accurately, more predictably, and it takes less time, or at least the same amount of time, why not use the better method? That's the way I look at it. So there's another option, of course. If you're just matching the existing bevel angle or edge angle, you can use the old Sharpie trick, which is you just take a Sharpie, mark out the edge bevel, and then you sort of adjust the height of the USB, the adjuster, to, and then you sort of put the blade down on the. You can't see the machine because it's below me now, but anyway, so you're just gonna move the wheel back and forth, adjust the height of the universal support bar until you're just rubbing off the Sharpie, and then away you go. So that works fine too. It's a little, again, it's a little fiddly. It takes a little time because it requires kind of like 3 hands to adjust. So that's what I don't recommend. So what do I recommend? What I use and what I recommend is a angle calculator. And these exist in many forms. I'm going to provide a link down in the description of the video below. And you can check out a lot of different options. Many of them are free. I would say most of them are free. And so the way these things work is that there's a fellow on the Tormek forums. I will see if I can find his real name, but his handle is the Dutchman. Very smart guy. He's obviously knows some math, and he has figured out how to, whatever it is, geometry, trig, I don't know. I was an English major, but he's figured out the math. So all you have to do is calculate or measure basically the projection distance, which is the distance between the stop here. Let me get a little closer to the camera here. So, yeah, it's the difference, the distance between the stop here and the edge apex here. I don't know if that's in focus or not. So you measure that distance. That's one of the things you input into the calculator. And you put in, obviously, the angle that you want. And as an initial setting, you know, for whichever app you use, you have to tell it which machine you're using. And the other, okay, so that's not organized. But so let's start over from there. So first of all, one time you have to tell it what machine you're using. It's either the T4 or the T8, basically. And so the calculation is going to differ a little bit because of the size of the machine, yada, yada. So once you do that, then you put in the projection distance, you put in the sharpening angle you want, and there's one other thing, which is the diameter of the wheel that you're using. And that's basically all the information that's needed to produce the calculation. In my case, I'm using CBN wheels, or if you're using the Tormek diamond wheels or some other diamond wheels, it's going to be a set, you know, diameter. It's not going to change over time. If you're using the Tormek grinding wheels, then you're going to have to keep a little bit of track on what the diameter of the wheel is, because it gets smaller as you use it and as you grade it to keep it flat and all that. But it doesn't change that quickly, and so it's not that big of a problem. So the calculator that I use is one on my phone. It's called GoCalc, and it's actually it's like an application that you download to the iPhone Numbers app, which is a free sort of database or spreadsheet type app. And so I'll put links to all this stuff in the description. But let me show you what it looks like. Hopefully we'll be able to see this. So, can we see this? Yeah, let me get behind it. So you can see, as I've said, in the top, it's going to ask you what machine it is. So it's T8, so I have the settings over here for the T8. And then the wheel diameter. At the moment, I have it set. I have two different brands of CBN wheels. One of them is just slightly over 250 millimeters, and the other one is, which I'll be using in a moment, is actually 254 millimeters, as I've calculated it. The jig diameter, you don't have to worry about. That just stays the same. Projection distance, I've described, and the sharpening angle. For this example, I'm going to use 14 degrees. And then when you get to the end here, it tells you the number, in this case, 170.2. And that's the number I'm going to be using here. And that is the distance between, well, I'll show you in a minute. I'm going to have to move the camera, so hang on just a second. Okay, so here's the machine. So the number that we got from the calculator, 170.2, what that is the distance between the top of the support bar here and the deck of the machine. And I have made a little, taken just a Sharpie and just made a little mark down here so I know where that goes. And the way we set that is by using a vernier caliper. And it has to be a fairly long one. These, I can't remember, they're not that expensive. You can get them on Amazon or wherever. But you do need one that's, I think this looks like it's maybe 16 inches. Anyway, so if you're not familiar with these, which I wasn't, frankly, the way you set it is, there's a scale here. Let's see if we can get some light on this. Yeah. So it's millimeters is what we're dealing with here. It has inches on the top, millimeters on the bottom. So you slide this, and so this, where the slide ends, sets the distance, the rough distance, and then there's a scale below that, and whichever one of those sort of lines up the most closely to one of the lines printed on the body of the caliper is the fraction. So I'm going to set this for 170.2. So that's just going to go here. And then I'm just going to tighten the screw on top. And so, yeah, hopefully you can see how that looks. Okay, so now that we have that set, what do we do with it? Well, so now you have this distance here. This distance is 170.2. And so I'm going to just rest the bottom of the caliper on the bar and then adjust the height of the, using the little micro adjuster, which you probably can't see from this angle. I'm just using the micro adjuster to set that so it just hits the deck. So I'm going to go down a little bit. That's just about it. And that's as quick as it is. And then once you've set that height, obviously, so you're going to push down here where you were setting the caliper as you tighten the screw down here, and then, you know, just tighten the other screw just to secure this. And now, assuming that this projection distance is correct, which it probably isn't, because I took it out while I was screwing around here. It's at 141. Okay, so I don't know. I'm going to have to move the camera again to show you how I set the projection distance. But basically, what I've done is I've just like taped a metal metric ruler, you know, in millimeters, to the desk, to the top of my table over there, and I just, you know, put this the stop at the edge of the table, and I look straight down, and I can you know, measure the total length here. And in this case, it is, I believe it's 141. Yeah. Let me just double check and make sure that's what I had in the calculator. Yes. Yay. So it worked. Okay. So what I was going to do is just to demonstrate the accuracy of this. The knife is presently at 15 degrees. I was going to reprofile it down to 14 degrees. And then we can use a goniometer and check and see how accurate it was. So let me get set up for that, and we'll be back in a second. Okay, I'm not sure how long this is going to take, since I'm having to, I'm lowering the edge angle a bit, but let's see, I can always speed it up. Here we go. think I pretty much have a burr already. Let's just keep going a little bit just to make sure. Yep, that's a full burr. One just last stroke just to try to minimize it a little bit. All right, so that is our reprofiling, and now this should be just about exactly 14 degrees. And let's measure it and see how we did. Okay, now this is always hard to photograph, but I'm hoping that you're able to see the scale on there. And if you can, you'll see that we were pretty much bang on at 14 degrees per side, which in fact was the objective. So yeah, that's why I love these calculators. They are just fantastic for setting repeatable angles and pretty quickly once you get the hang of it. You know, it's just a question of sort of getting the sequence down. And once you do, I find that it, you know, from clamping the knife to beginning sharpening, I find that I can use calculators. It takes me about a minute, about 1 minute to do that setup. So I think that's probably, as I suggested earlier, I think that's quicker than using the less accurate Tormek device, and probably also quicker than using the Sharpie, even if you're just maintaining the angle. Where it becomes significant, knowing that you have the exact angle that you wanted, is when it comes to, in my process, when it comes to deburring and stropping the knife, because I use a Canon Elite system with leather belts and different compounds, and the way I typically, like for a kitchen knife, what I want to do is use a 1 micron leather strop at about 1.5 degrees higher than the edge angle, and I'll do 1 or 2 passes per side, and then I will drop it down to the exact sharpening angle. So then I would drop it down to, say, 14 degrees in this case, and then I'll use another leather belt that has the Tormek PA70 compound on it. And I find that doing it that way produces a very good, very consistent result. And the total time it takes me to sharpen a kitchen knife that way is about 7 minutes, and generally it will produce a very sharp knife. It's the best score is going to be probably somewhere between 80 and 120, depending on how good a day I'm having. So I hope this is helpful. Again, I will provide the links below. I'll come down here. You can see me. Let me move the camera up. Sorry. Is it better? Yeah, it's a little better. Anyway, I can kneel over here. So yeah. Yeah, I hope this is helpful. I just don't, it bothers me when I see people using the Tormek edge setting thing when they're new to the machine and they're thinking, oh, this is so difficult and I don't know if I'm setting it right, do I have the angle correct? And a lot of times they don't, and I think it dissuades people from using the system, and there's no need for that when there are these free calculators that will give you an excellent result. That's all I have today. Thanks for coming by. Please subscribe, like the video if you liked it, and I'll see you next time.